Yes, hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world for Celtic fans all over the world. From Glenboig to Graz, Giffnock to Gorgie, wherever you happen to be watching from. You're part of A Celtic World, and so is Brian, of course. Brian in Ireland, what about you?
Not too bad, Gav. How are yourself? Good to be on.
Well, it's good to have you on at this extra, well, it's not a special early time because half the year we're on at 9:30 a.m. local time in Scotland, the other half 11 a.m. It's just a factor that we have to consider when we have people all over the world and there's different time changes and everything to make sure we don't clash with other, the other massive Celtic shows like us, Brian.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, Gav, don't know what I was watching, but it was on YouTube, and the amount of adverts. I'm just thinking why people should be, subscribing to us. Because you can watch a full hour in a row, an hour and 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
None as bad
Yeah.
as Tai Chi classes and flipping erectile dysfunctional stuff,
Okay, Brian's already going off on one, folks. I'm not sure quite what that's all about, but let's rein it back in.
There only is the two of us,
Well, I don't want just my presence to make you think of erectile dysfunction, but
no, definitely not, Gav.
here's the thing. I don't see YouTube adverts anymore. I pay for YouTube Premium because they drive me absolutely crazy. So even when I'm watching like Celtic content, I'll see people in the comments saying, mate, you're ruining your show with the amount of adverts we have to sit through. This is taking the piss. And I don't actually see them, but yeah, incredibly annoying.
You're talking every 10 seconds in some cases. Like literally, you turn it off before you stick it on.
Hello from East Kilbride, says Stephen. You're sounding good, says our David.
Hi, David.
Just saying hello to a few people in the chat here. From a sunny Belfast via Donegal, just up the road from you, Brian.
Indeed.
Okay. All right. So, well, what are we talking about? I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? There's William O'Toole's in the house as well. This, I suppose, well, this doesn't tell us too much, does it, the thumbnail? Because I had to create this a few days ago before the big two battle. This had me thinking of, that's how the people used to describe it at home. The big two final.
The big two final, Linfield, Glentoran.
Whose voice is that? Jackie Fullerton.
Jackie's still going strong. Well, it'd be good to get him on. He's a big Ballymena fan, allegedly. One for the viewers, so
I had a brief dalliance with his niece many years ago.
Did she look like a son? His son.
She was very attractive, as you would imagine, Brian.
Is that Fiona? In her born days? No.
No. Name no names. Okay, so all right. So what are we going to talk about? Are we going straight into the game? I think we are.
Just get it done, yeah.
I think we'll go straight into the game. May as well. But I should say Stephen's supposed to be joining us, but I don't know when. I'm not sure if he was caught out by the time change. It's quite possible. I think quite a few people will be taken by surprise by us being on so early in the day.
As long as they're not caught short. That's the main thing.
As long as they're not what?
Caught short.
Indeed. Brian, here we go. Here's the starting 11. Schmeichel, Donovan, Murray, Scales, Tierney, McGregor, Hatate, Engels, Negrin, Tinecti and Kenny. Now, I see a lot of people saying, you can't be wise after the event. But in the lead up to this game, I saw lots of people suggesting here and there that starting with Donovan and Murray on one side of the defence was unlikely. It's just too risky. Did that thought cross your mind before the game?
Yeah, and more with Dean Murray than Colby Donovan. Dean Murray hasn't kicked the ball in anger in months. To bring him into the inverted commas big two game, I thought was on the manager. Don't know. I know Austin Trustee's had plantar fasciitis for a while. I don't know how, but I mean, I remember I had it, and you're talking. It's very painful, but you can, if you're playing for Celtic, you can play. But that's on the manager, that decision. And again, I don't know what fitness level Trusty was at, but putting that young boy in, he made a rookie against the Mankey mob. I think the last time they played him at Ibrox, Dane Murray, OG yesterday. So it's only going to wreck the guy's confidence, and I think he bit of a dereliction of duty there in terms of the pathway by just firing him in and hoping for the best. It was very kind of risky from Rodgers, but we're led to believe he does all these things very methodical. But that, who's in his ear? You look at Brian Clough, Peter Taylor, who's in his ear going, no, it's not. This is not the time for the wee young fella. But exposed, yeah. Hopefully he can come back from it. But
in the hoops.
And hopefully, in the hoops, hopefully he can come back from it. But I mean, you look at Negrin as well, but I'm sure we'll come on to that. It's all about in the moment and making the decision.
Mm-hmm.
But
I just wanted to stick with that issue for a start. Here's a tweet by Shawnee Boy saying the moment was too big for Murray and Donovan yesterday. And Stan Miguel, that's a good username, pointing out that our best defensive performance last year was arguably Atalanta away. The centre-half partnership with Scales and Trusty. Rodgers could have played that today, but went with Murray instead of the experienced international. But yeah, Trusty's hardly played. Some of it does smack a bit of wise after the event. You heard Rodgers saying he didn't want to have two left-footed centre-backs playing. Is that enough of a reason for you?
It's a bit weak. I don't know where the stuff's coming out of Rodgers' mouth these days. But Honda Civics, Ferraris, Range Rover Sport. I'm just bored with it. I'm just whatever. He's not. Don't want to go on a character assassination of Brendan. Like, he's not the most inspirational of guys, and sitting there. I don't know. I think the players have maybe just had enough of his waffle, and it's maybe time.
Comes out with a lot of nonsense, doesn't he?
Especially for this guy who studies neurolinguistics, and he's very allegedly educated around the sort of whys and wherefores of mental health and the art of persuasion. I know if he's coming out and he's saying that about me, I'd be like, you know what it is, Brendan, do one. And difference is we'll run through a brick wall for the shirt. Some of the other ones just, whatever. They've no interest, and it's even putting young Kenny on yesterday. I mean, what else do you do? It's the squad's not there. End off, and when we're taking out the likes of AJ out of the team and Iniacho, who I don't believe is a great player. We're shockingly poor and light. We've got, remember, Fergie, Solskjaer, Sheringham, Cole York. I mean, we don't even have we've nothing up front.
Yeah. Here's a question from Kieran McFadden. Genuine question, Gavin Brent. Is Rodgers' time up or nearly up? Let's leave that until Stephen joins us. Because, I mean, I sometimes joke about, it's not really a joke, but, that Paul is the sort of representative on a Celtic world on behalf of Arnie Engels. Well, if anyone's a representative on behalf of Brendan Rodgers, it's Stephen. He's a big fan and will not hear too much criticism against him because everything's on the board. Anyway, so why don't we run through the game, Brian, a bit? Fancy a few stills? See if you can remember these bits from behind your sofa when you were doing the hoovering.
Oh, yes.
Far too much space here on the left to put this cross in. The cross comes in. Who was it got the header? The first header across? Was it your man?
No.
The famous fella? What do you call their striker?
Shankland.
Shankland, yeah, I think he got the first header over. And then great save.
Great save, yeah, great save by Schmeichel, yeah. Very.
But unfortunately, the ball doesn't go out. It runs over to the side there, and you can see Shankland's alive to it in a way that
Yeah.
KT up here beside him. And these are all flat-footed, our guys. Unfortunately. And then we know what happens. He boots the ball across goal. And there is Murray to sort of panic.
Yeah.
And sort of sclaff it in. Now, there was a guy behind him, as you can see there. He had to do something. But he just sort of shot himself, didn't he? And
Yeah,
it was a double hit, wasn't it? It sort of hit his knee and then his leg. And just get it out of there. Just boot it out.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for the young fella. Shouldn't have been in there in the first place. Another get out for the manager. You know, if you're to step back and look at it and go, okay, a penalty and an own goal, you take those away, it's one each, which is not a great answer. But you look back at the Karat Almaty game, and we should have enough in the tank. Now, I was never expecting us to go up the Hearts, up the Tynecastle and come away with a 5-0 win. They are top of the table because they're playing one game a week, and they've got a better settled squad, and they've got goals in the team. But we'll move on. I know it's hard to say, but literally, it's they've given us a title race, and
okay. Well, look,
we're chasing them.
We'll get to that. Here's Mahesh saying Celtic squad is good enough to beat Hearts. Blind Freddy knew that what McInnes would do. Man mark Celtic's mids and fullbacks. Rodgers had to play Negrin central and have the mids push up. Loss all on Rodgers. I don't think I wasn't confident going into this game. Not because I don't think we don't have the players to beat Hearts, but I just don't think they're in the right form, and I kind of expected Rodgers not to come up with any sort of tactical masterclass to counteract McInnes, as Mahesh points out.
You have to see this tactical masterclass, and this elite. We keep going back to the Eddie substitution and all the rest of it. Okay, you can say we had a better squad and more options, but I would have went there and did a low block, would have put 10 men behind the ball and just picked up a point. But let's keep doing the 4-3-3 and hopefully it'll work.
Okay, there's quite a few comments there counteracting what Mahesh had to say. So let's just go through the game anyway. So yeah, there was that moment, which was very unfortunate, and you wonder, are we going to come back? They started really quickly, didn't they, Hearts?
Yeah.
And put us under pressure and got that goal. But we came back with a really nice goal, didn't we?
Yeah.
Overlapped on the left here.
Yeah,
then a really clever, simple pass from KT. Other players would have just sort of fired that across goal and hoped that somebody was taking the chance. But he picked out McGregor really nicely and a really sweet finish. And that was a glorious moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought at that stage, the next sort of 5-10 minutes, we were on top, and probably were the favourites to go on and win the game. But Cal was pushing up front more and looked a bit like it's commanding self. And I've been a big doubter over the last number of months with Cal, but he looked as if he was bang on it.
Yeah, that was a real captain's goal. That was a real Callum McGregor of old moment.
Yeah, but that was
driving forward.
Was that his first goal this season, was it? I don't know.
Well, it's his first goal for a while, anyway. As Kieran says here, that goal was very well worked and thought we'd be all right in the game. I think that was everyone's feeling. Yeah. I was jumping up and down. I was watching it with my son, who was annoying as anything, but he was crawling all over me. He was crawling all over me in the game and poking me and all. Kept saying, "Why do you hate Hatate, Daddy? Why do you hate Hatate?" It's like, I don't hate him. He's just annoying me.
Yeah,
every chance he gets.
There was a few back passes and a few Ricky moments from Hatate, but that's what you get with him. You get sort of 60% great, 40% awful. But Yeah, but it's disappointing. It's all the superlatives, but we're here. We have to deal with it.
All right. There's another point from David. 2 or 3 times Calmac drove forward a few yards with the ball, and you could see the difference. Yeah, like it's a very depressing result. And I'm as disillusioned with how we're playing as anyone. But if you really must look for scraps of hope, these last couple of games have had a few moments where you could sort of, say, well, look, at least we look alive in moments. Still loads of frailties, but, we haven't looked alive for several games prior to these last 2. And this is another moment of frailty here. This was almost another own goal from Donovan. Do you remember this? Just flashed wide. The Hearts fell at the far post. Almost got a touch.
I mean,
Would have been another calamitous goal.
Schmeichel had a great game yesterday, believe it or not. A couple of saves he made. Well, in between hoovering, I think he was a lot better than he's been in the last number of weeks. But unfortunately, we need 11 players to be 8 or 9 out of 10, not 1 or 2. But yeah. And then this is
Negrin receiving the ball, and I think this is such a pivotal moment in the game. We got to bring in the big guns. So let's just come back here and say welcome to the stage, Steve-O.
Hello, guys. How we doing? Sorry I'm late.
Very good, Steve-O. We'll forgive you. Must be early start in Australia, is it? It's 9:30 a.m. business.
That's right, yeah.
Right, well, we're just at the stage where we're going through the game, and it's 1-1. And we'll come to you for this moment. Here's Negrin gets the ball, Stephen. Tell us what you thought of his effort here.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the first thing he does really well to sort of sell the defender a dummy. But then he's just gone too cute, hasn't he? He's just tried to clip it over instead of just putting his laces through it, which is what he should have done. And the keeper's made a good save, but I don't think he shouldn't have had a chance, basically. So it was poor, very poor from Negrin there, and that would have been a pivotal moment in the game if that one had went in. And we could have been having an entirely different conversation today.
Do you go along with that, Brian?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I do. That goes in, it's a different game, and nobody has put pressure on Hearts this season, and certainly...
I don't mean that. I mean the attempt at the finish.
Oh, the finish, he should have put his laces through it, yeah. Why?
See, that's what I'm hearing a lot of, but let me tell you, as a striker myself, gents, in that moment, he's got one defender like sprawled in front of him and another keeper coming out on the ground. And, he puts his laces through that and it bounces off a body. And probably not into the goal.
Well,
I think he did the right thing to lift it.
If you're smart, you hit it with pace into the corner where the keepers just came from.
There's a guy in the ground in front of him.
Yeah, so you lift it a little bit higher, but you don't. He's been too cute by half there. I think he was caught in two minds, to be honest. And he's just sort of done neither. He's not got enough lift. If he's going to lift it over the keeper, he's got to lift it higher than that. And he's just managed to do neither at the end of the day. But I think decisively, if you hit it, I mean, even if it does hit off of someone, it might still end up in the net, or it might bounce off and land at someone else's feet with an empty net in front of them. So it was just, I mean, it's all right for us sitting here now saying it, but it was very, very frustrating at the time.
Frustrating also for people who are just realising that we're on early, pouring in. There's Andy Boy has obviously just arrived. We've already talked a little bit about Dane Murray. Go ahead, Stephen. Yeah.
Sorry, the most annoying thing about that miss was I think we were well on top of them at that point. As we were, I don't know if you've talked about this already, but I thought we had much the better in the first half. outside of Murray's aberration for
Yeah.
their goal. And at that point in time, that would have been, we would have been well worth being 2-1 in front. And I think we would have took confidence from that. I think they would have had the opposite effect and gone into their shells a bit. And as I mentioned before, I think it would have changed the outcome of the game completely.
Yeah, I was pretty confident at halftime. I have to say, I was looking forward to the second half. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't go exactly according to plan, Brian. This was their second goal. This is where your man gets the ball. I can't think of his name. If anyone does.
Or somebody else.
Okay. Yeah.
Something Bacchus.
Yeah. And then he cuts inside. And look at the amount of Celtic players sort of that all could have maybe attempted to do something there.
He's on his phone there, isn't he? Tate. Sitting there checking it out.
This is a moment that's getting a lot of play on social media, isn't it? I'm sure you've seen this. Brian, what did you think of our lack of someone taking responsibility in that situation there?
That sums our season up, isn't it? Nobody really taking the bull by the horns. Just I'll wait till someone else does it. I forgot.
This is that moment.
A foot. He just sticks a foot on it, But then he's thinking maybe I'm going to score another own goal. But he is left.
Well, there's this effort here, whatever he's doing. What's his name? Arnie Engels.
Murray.
Murray steps out of the way.
Yeah.
Moves his right leg here. Steps out of the way. And Schmeichel doesn't dive. I'm sure Stephen has a lot to say on this moment. Forensic analysis.
Well, I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Starting at the first, even early in the game, Donovan's had a nightmare against that winger. A couple of times in the first half, he's just skinned him completely on the outside. So we've spoke about how a good winger can go inside or outside and puts a lot of doubt into the defender's mind. So I think all Donovan was thinking about was forcing him inside because he didn't want to get done again on his outside. So he did. But he didn't work hard enough, and neither did Nygren to stop the shot coming in. Both of them have got to do better there and get in front of the shot. But once the shot's away, Murray's effort there was diabolical. And I think the only one I would say you could probably absolve from blame that you mentioned there was Schmeichel, because I think he was completely unsighted due to aforementioned Murray. And he was expecting Murray to get a leg on it, so he wasn't expecting that to come through. It came through a forest of people, and I think it was in the bottom corner before he had a chance to move. So I hadn't noticed the Engels effort at the time, but that looked pretty poor. But Murray, just awful. And given the context in the game, it sort of summed up his level of performance.
Our goalkeeper's not supposed to dive, like an insurance dive in those scenarios, just, cover your goal. Because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure they're trained to do that.
He's seen it very late, though, and he's just not had a chance to react.
Brian, any blame on Schmeichs?
Well, would Sinisalo have got it? That's the question I always ask.
Definitely. Monday morning quarterbacking.
Mr. Revisionist.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Who knows? But it was very poor. Very, very poor, that. All right. What stage are we at now? Back to the stills, I think. All right. Murray Madness strikes again. This is him up against their wee nippy Braga fella. Now, the annoying thing about this was he's running alongside him and he almost has a wee nibble, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he realises they're very close. Their feet are all very close together. The guy's running in the box. And I was nervous he was going to give away a penalty. But after the first moment where they, nearly collided or nearly got their feet tangled up, I thought, well, there's no way he's going to do anything stupid. He must sense the danger here. He's just going to shadow him out to the side as he's running away from goal. And Oh, he doesn't. He just bloody sticks a leg out, catches him, penalty. Infuriating. Daft. Brian?
I actually didn't see the penalty. I was getting Halloween decorations out of the loft at that stage. I had a bad feeling.
Oh, dear.
Always the
Well,
excuse.
that was the killer goal, wasn't it? That was the one that just took the game away from us. I mean, at 2-1 down, we're still in it, but at 3-1 down, we're not. And it was just, again, just an abject piece of defending from Murray. I mean, the guy, you can see from your still there, Gavin, guy's gone away from goal. He's not going anywhere. He's not presenting any danger at all. All you need to do, any defender, you're always taught, just stand up and just jockey him. Just jockey him out the box and don't do anything rash, because he's just waiting for a contact there. That's what he's looking for. He's just looking for contact and he's going to go down. And you look at Murray there as well, that he's completely in the wrong position as well. He's not a goal sider or the striker. He's just completely the wrong area. And if you look at the amount of Celtic players round about him, there's no danger there at all. None at all. It was an absolutely shambolic piece of defending from Murray. And I don't know, you hate to go in two-footed on a guy. And let's be honest with you, he's not a young boy. He's 22 years old. So we're not talking about a 17-year-old here. We're talking about a 22-year-old. He's the same age as Arnie Engels, whose age is never used as an excuse for him. So we can't use his age as an excuse. And that's, if you count that three, he was involved in all 3 goals today.
Yeah.
He had a major blunder against Braga at home, and then he had the one against Aston Villa last year down at Villa Park, and he's just racking up these errors game after game after game to the point where I don't think we can pick him again. I'm just not sure. I heard Rodgers after the game saying, "Oh, he will learn from this," but that's the point. He's not learning. He's doing it again and again and again, and it's all down to every single thing. It's just down to a lack of concentration and a lack of composure, and he just doesn't have. And if you don't have either of the two of them, then you can't play at centre half for Celtic, and it's as simple as that. I think Rodgers kind of explained himself as he always likes to play a right-footed and a left-footed centre half together, and that's why he picked Murray. But it's turned out to be the wrong decision. And a very, very costly one, because that was a legendary bad performance.
Do you think he should have hooked him at half time, Stephen?
I do, yeah. I was shouting for it myself. I think he was all over the place in the first half. I mean, the one I'm sure you've already covered it before I come on, but the first goal is he's just taking his eye off the ball. He's not even looking at the ball, and he swung his leg at it. It's come off his shin and bounced into the net. So he's nowhere near where he needs to be in terms of concentration, in terms of composure. He has got some attributes to his game, but I'm just not sure you can coach out the other stuff. And I don't think he should be anywhere near the first team. And you're right, Brian, he should have hooked him at half time. You got Trusty on the bench there.
It was funny, the conversation we had on the group chat. Well, it wasn't funny, it was gallows humour, I suppose. But after the own goal, you were saying this Dan Murray's always at that. He did it at the examples you gave, Villa and Braga, and he's got a mistake in him and I don't trust him and all this. And I thought you were being a bit harsh, and so did Paul, and then the next thing he does this and we're all like, for fuck's sake. Stephen is right, damn it, that's the most annoying thing that happened.
You think about it, if he had hooked him, we could have put it down to a bad day at the office. So he completely added to the cluster thing F-word, by the second goal and then giving away the penalty. So he should have just hooked him. If he's saying, "Oh, he learned from it," well, weak as piss, as Gordon Trusty. I don't know.
Well, he may be weak as piss, but he's a bit of composure about him.
So
he might not be as physically strong as he could be.
He's an experienced defender, Trusty. At the end of the day, Trusty and Scales was the centre-back pairing in Atalanta last year, and probably arguably our best defensive performance of the season. So I think, it has to be put down to be as a mistake from Rodgers.
And then the penalty was duly dispatched. Casper got down to it, went the right way, but didn't quite get a hand on it. So Shanklin scored that. And then we had a couple of little moments later in the game, but I don't know about you, but, you know, at 3-1, when they dropped back and everything, and it became an exercise in can we break them down, you know, the answer was always going to be no for me from that moment on. Did either of you have hope of a comeback?
No.
No, I don't think so. And you know, one of the only positives you can take out of the game is that it surely put to bed all this nonsense about Shin Yamada being a quality player who's been unfairly treated by Rodgers and been left out of the team. He wasn't any better than Kenny, which is not a good thing, by the way. And you know, you can easily see why he hasn't been knocking the door down to be picked in the first team. So,
well, I think we ought to give him the equivalent amount of minutes that Kenny has had before we bin him.
Well, the opposite side of that argument is Kenny's younger. So I think Kenny's maybe 21 or something. So there is potential for Kenny to develop, but Yamada's 25. You know, he's right what should be in the peak of his career, and he's unlikely to develop anymore. It's just a really, really weird signing all round, and probably symptomatic of the state of the club at the moment. But you're right. You know, we were huffing and puffing a bit. Forrest came on, done a little bit. McCowan came on, looked lively for about 5 minutes before they all settled into their malaise. But we were never likely to score.
It's funny, I live in Malaysia. Every time someone mentions the general malaise, it makes me think of the population here. But I know that's not what they're talking about. This was McCowan's effort, sort of pinged wide after good work by Forrest. Nothing came of it. Here are the player ratings. Now, do you want to look at these? I mean, McGregor, 7. I don't know who makes these. These are all completely subjective. But wherever I got this one from, McGregor's up at a 7.8. And nobody is anywhere near him. Liam Scales. Murray is the next in line with a 6.7. Okay, can we stop looking at this now then? Or?
Is that from the Sun, is it?
I don't know where it's from, but
ALZ Soccer.
I think we can get rid of it. I didn't look into that in any great detail, but if they're saying Dan Murray was our second best player, I think we can do one.
There's nobody in our front. You think about there's no quality world-class strikers. I mean, Kenny wouldn't get a game for Cliftonville. Yamada shouldn't even be at the club. And who leaves us with Iniacho as the now journeyman who's picked up on a free. And who's the other one? Because Maid is on paper not a striker.
The other boy that was signed was Callum Osmond, who's playing in the team at the moment, going against the civil service stroller. So and not exactly covering himself in glory even at that level. So yeah, it's a sorry state of affairs.
It is a sorry state of affairs, and it's not like it's happened overnight. We've sounded the warning bell about what's going on with the club many times over the years, and David reminded me of this in terms of the videos that we have, and I thought I'd play one from a couple of seasons ago. This is from Brendan's first season, and it's the managed decline video. So if you're all sitting comfortably, I'll have a wee view of this. Hope you enjoy it. Now, when you consider that here we are hoarding all this cash as if, it was a one-off lottery win or something, and the collective and various people are shining a light on the lack of investment in the infrastructure around Celtic Park. That's been fallen to ruin. They haven't made the best use of all that land that they have. Could have had a hotel, all sorts of stuff, a museum, something better than a tent for Champions League press briefings. And there's just all this rubbish lying about the place. There's the fact that we haven't had a player come through the ranks of any significance for so long. So the academy is in a dire strait. Celtic TV is massively underperforming what it could be. I mean, it's hard to argue that it's not managed decline, Stephen, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I'm not even sure if it's deliberately managed decline, though, because, it's a managed decline would tend to suggest that there's some sort of plan there to manage that decline. And I really don't think there is. I think they're just winging it from year to year. I don't think they've got a plan for anything more than the next few months. And that's why we never hear about that. I mean, have you ever heard of a company the size of Celtic without any sort of strategic plan for the next 5 years at least? Any self-respecting company would have that, and they would set themselves goals and targets for where they want to be in 5 years' time and how they want to grow. And we don't seem to have any of that. We don't seem to be stretching ourselves at all. We don't seem to be trying to get to some new level. We don't seem to be exploring ways to make more money. The main stand debacle is a real good example of that. And as you mentioned, all the potential things they could be doing round about the stadium. And you look at, you have a look at the sort of modern stadia these days that are being built. And I know, it's probably not the best example, but have you seen Real Madrid's new stadium? I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And it just makes us look like an absolute shambles. And even the clubs in England, clubs like the Arsenal Stadium, Tottenham Stadium, they're all state of the art modern grounds, and ours is just a decaying wreck at the moment, and there doesn't seem to be any real plan to do anything about it. And the worst of it is, if we wait for something seriously structurally wrong to happen with the stadium, then it's going to cost us an awful lot more money and an awful lot more disruption than getting ahead of it now. Well, we've got cash in the bank, and while the club financially is in a good place. So we just get people running the board, both executive and non-executive directors, who just don't know how to grow a football club. It's as simple as that, and they need to be. It's becoming more absolutely nailed on by every passing day, every passing week, every passing bad result, that we need a major change in the boardroom at Celtic Park.
Well, the board would probably agree that a major change is needed and coming, but it's not going to be to their positions. There's a lot of talk now, increasing amount of talk about Brendan, and to what extent he shares the blame. Here's a tweet from the Parkhead faithful. Celtic board haven't done their job, the manager isn't doing his job, and the players aren't doing theirs. They conclude, remove the manager now, reset the squad in January, and reset this board ASAP. Don't know how we're going to do all that quite so quickly, but Brian, is there any part of you that thinks a change of manager now is going to help, or is necessary, or possible?
Well, there was whisperings about Ange wanting to return, and I give the big man a bit of advice: do not come back. I don't like this coming back nonsense. Careful what you wish for. You change the manager and could be mid-table. I really worry about who our next manager will be. I don't think changing the manager at this stage, but certainly Brendan get your idea, get your stuff together. Start making it. We're in a position. We've got a crap squad. We're probably one of the worst squads since the days of Liam Brady. But even in those days, we had Pat McGinley, McStay. We had, this is probably one of the worst Celtic teams in my lifetime I've ever seen. And I'm going back to the days of Paul Hartley, and I like Paul Hartley, but I don't think changing the manager's anything. You could bring in Guardiola or Mourinho, whoever, into that team. I just don't know. I'm hoping to God there's whispers that maybe Andy Robertson may be coming in, and I don't know the ever optimist, but I think getting Maloney and I think Kennedy and all need to go. I think stick with Brendan for the rest of the season, but it needs a clear root and branch clear out of the goalkeeping coach, everything within the club, and
well. Yeah, I mean, I imagine Stephen is definitely not on the sack Brendan page, given our conversations to date. You think, he's our most successful manager, etc., etc. He's a lame duck. It's his last season. Do you think he's going to get it together, Stephen? How confident are you that he can turn things around this season?
I'm not confident at all because the squad is in such a terrible place that I just don't know how he's going to do it. And if he does do it, it'll be an absolute miracle because a lot of people say, and you're right, the narrative has been Brendan should be doing better. We should be getting more out of this squad. How do you get more out of this squad? What can Brendan Rodgers do to stop the individual errors like Dane Murray yesterday? Like Liam Scales passing the ball straight out the park, that sort of thing. A manager can't do anything about that. If we're being honest, and an honest appraisal of where Brendan Rodgers is just now, yesterday he got the shape of the team was right. We absolutely destroyed them in the first half. We cut them open on numerous occasions. Maybe didn't destroy them. That's maybe a bit extreme, but we certainly were a better team. We opened them up, and they're the best team in the country coming into that game. Form-wise, and we opened them up fairly easily a few times in the first half. So it wasn't the shape that was wrong. When it came down to it, it was just personnel. And the sad fact of the matter is, the situation we're in at the moment, how many of the team and the bench who were for Celtic yesterday would get into the Hearts team as things stand at the moment? And I think you're probably looking at about 3 or 4 players at the most. And that's an absolute damning indictment of where we are. And Brendan Rodgers just isn't going to be able to do anything about that, particularly given the fact that he's in the last year of his contract. He's not going to be here next year, 100%. So that leaves us in limbo in the January transfer window. So what do we do? Do we allow a manager that's leaving to spend money, or do we not? And I think we know what the answer to that's going to be. And if they don't trust Brendan Rodgers to make signings, as a lot of the talk seems to be on social media. And that's another failing of the board, because if they didn't trust Brendan Rodgers to make signings, then they should have sat down with him in the summer and explained that to him and came to some settlement package to release him in the summer and get a manager in who they were going to trust to spend money. The answer is not to undermine the manager. The answer is not to make sure you don't sign any of the players the manager wants. The answer is not to brief the media behind the manager's back and create all sorts of dramas there. So that's just another failing of the board. Rodgers. I've always been a Brendan Rodgers fan. I think he's an excellent coach and an excellent manager. I think at this point in time, he's the best manager that we could have, and he wouldn't be anywhere near Celtic unless he did have a connection to the club. But I'm not going to shed any tears for him if he goes. He's a very wealthy man, and within 12 hours of it being sacked from Celtic, he'll be lying beside the pool at his villa in Mallorca. So, Brendan will be all right. He'll find another job in football. But it's a wider issue about how the board have appointed Rodgers and then set about undermining him after the second year. In 2 trophy-laden years, it gets into his third year. They haven't addressed the fact that he's in the last year of his contract. They haven't done anything about that, and it's playing out in front of our eyes now. So no, I don't see how this is going to get any better because the players just aren't there. The players, if by some miracle we were able to hang in there till after Christmas, sign a couple of players and get all the injured players back, then I guess you never know. But at the moment, I can only see us being further behind than we are at the moment. But by the time Christmas comes, because it's hard to see. It's hard to see how we win even a game against any other team in the top 6 at the moment, because we're just not scoring goals.
We need
chances.
We need a minimum.
Brian, you go.
Sorry, Steve. We need a minimum of 3 established strikers at the club as a minimum in the January transfer window. Where we get them from, who knows? But we need to get goals into the team. I'd say, let's throw it out the cards. We're short on the right wing. We're short in centre defence. We're now short. Well, obviously with CCV getting injured, we're short everywhere in the across the pitch, and I even put a goalkeeper into that. So Celtic need to have play. If we keep going at this rate, we might even qualify for the Conference League next season. And that's disgrace. Sitting with 70 million in the bank, absolute disgrace. And fair play to Sutton yesterday, if you saw it. But all the yes men were sitting there, all the happy clappers sitting there going, Lennon, Neil, just stop talking, would you? I'm really. Is he on the payroll still? I sort of very, very, coming out and saying that Dermot Desmond's the most intelligent man he's ever seen. Lesmond mustn't fucking seen too many people. The man's a genius. Well, if he's such a genius, why is he letting his assets decline? Why is he not, backing up the one? You think about it in Celtic's history. Jock Stein, elite manager. Rodgers, elite manager. Martin O'Neill, elite manager. There's 3. And Willie Mealy, I didn't know. Obviously, I wasn't born. But really, he's one of the top 4 Celtic elite managers of all time. And it's fucking disgraceful that the fact that he's not getting back. I mean, they should literally be bringing in, I don't know, just count the goals. None of this. So he was on loan somewhere. I would take Raheem Sterling. I would take Andy Robertson and pay them whatever. I would take anybody.
All these questions of would you take somebody, I mean, the answer is almost always going to be yes, because, it's desperation stakes at the moment, We used to say, I don't want him being a Celtic player. Now you'd be like, hey, just give us anyone who can swing their leg at the ball and put it in the net would help.
Just to make things even more depressing, if you think this summer was a shit show, how do you think next summer's going to look? Because, we're probably going to be looking for a new manager. We're probably going to be looking for a new backroom team. And I reckon, off the top of the bat, without, conservatively speaking, we'll be looking at 6 first-team players to be signed. And this is by a board who singularly failed to almost sign a single first-team player last summer. So, next summer's going to be even more of a shit show than this summer. And that's really, really scary.
The summer where Rodgers took over from Ange was an absolute horror show. That sort of between managers summer where they're kind of club signings coming in and the manager's told, this is what you're getting. If we have another, that was Nawrocki and Lagerbielke and that, I can't even remember his name, the Korean guy who said he was going to be great.
Oh,
and then
Kwon.
That
was Kwon. Yeah.
Just
he was going to be the best player in Scotland, then go to the Bundesliga. But
I think
get back to the point about. Sorry, but just quickly get back to the point about the board and whether we think they're going to sack Rodgers or not. And I don't think they will, because at the moment they've got a convenient patsy there who's absorbing all the flack. And if they were to sack the manager, they'd then be turning that on themselves, because then the responsibility would lie with them to replace him with someone better. And I just don't think I don't think that's realistic that they're going to replace him with someone better. They might replace him with someone different, but it won't be better. Who among us would have any confidence in them getting that right? And that's why I think they'll let Rodgers limp on. The behaviour during the summer transfer window shows conclusively that they really don't care about winning the league this year. They really don't care about, European success. So they'd quite happily write this season off and just let us limp on through until it becomes untenable for the manager, or whether he maybe gets offered a job down south and decides to jump, because that's what they're waiting for.
Apparently we're going to win the league anyway, so don't worry about it.
But that's treasonous. If you were the chief executive of Tesco, Sainsbury's, and you're going, do you know what it is? We're going to let Marks and Spencers have a go here, or whatever. It's treason. That you should always have the best interests of the club at heart in everything you do, if you're going to be a member of management or associated with a club. And they negligence. You look at the Tylenol scandal in the States in the 70s and 80s. Was nowhere near as bad as some of the stuff's going on here. It really is a disgrace that we are going looking to pick up players on a free or whatever else.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know where they are. I don't know where the answer is.
Well, let's just imagine for a minute that Mahesh's stats come to the rescue. Celtic's net XG still way above the rest of the league. Data and actuals usually meet in the long run. Roger saying there's 26 games left. This is the point where Aberdeen were riding high last season, and that all fell to shit. So Hearts will draw plenty of points, says Mahesh. Celtic will probably win the league with well below 80 points. I mean, I would be delighted if that was true, but it's very hard to see at the moment. What levels of cold water would you like to pour on that, Stephen?
Well, I mean, I'm not an expert on XG or net XG or whatever it is. I believe data has a part to play in the game, but it's not my Bible. But I'll just go back to something Mahesh posted earlier. I don't know if you flagged that up, and he said Celtic still have the best squad in the league, and they don't. They don't have the best squad in the league. Hearts have a better squad than Celtic just now. Now you might say, Jota, when he comes back, would lift the overall quality of the squad, and Alistair Johnson. But as things stand at the moment, with the available players we have, Hearts have a better squad than Celtic, and it's as simple as that. And that's why,
because so many of our players are out of form. I mean, it wasn't long ago we were saying we had the best midfield around. Look at all these quality players: Engels, Hatate, McCowan, Bernardo, Portugal's under-21 captain. We were singing their praises from the rooftops, and now they're all hopeless. Currently,
but they are form-wise. They are all hopeless. Yes, you can almost divide the Celtic first. You can almost divide the Celtic team into three parts just now. You've got a third of it is players who are just in the door and who have to be given a bit of time. You've got a third of them who want away and have clearly checked out, and the other third who are just not good enough. And never have been and never will be, and that's that. So how you assemble a team out of that are going to consecutively win games. And don't get me wrong, we could catch Hearts. We've ran down bigger gaps in 8 points many times before, and it is very early in the season, as Roger said. But to do that, you have to go on a winning run. If you go back to 1986, when Celtic ran down a Hearts team and ended up winning the title on the last day of the season at Love Street, I think Celtic went 17 games, 17 wins in a row, or 17 games undefeated or something like that. So that's what you need to do. And at the moment, there's not a chance in hell that we're going to do that. At the moment, it's hard to see us winning 2 games in a row, never mind 17. And that's why it's just pure fantasy at the moment to think that that's going to happen.
And you think of the team, Stephen, we had there McClare, Judas, Danny, Paul McStay, Roy Aiken, the list goes on. Who in our team? I don't think we have a player at all. I mean, at the minute.
Well, I mean, again, it's form and quality. Not long ago, we were saying we had tons of quality in midfield, but they're all bang out of form. So what we need is some of these players to come back into form. Yes, Johnson and Jota and all that, but also, Engels, Bernardo, Hatate. I mean, what is going on with Hatate? Jesus. People used to
But
say that
he's
he was worth
he's-
having in the team. He's not at the
always been
moment.
like that, though, Gav. He's always
But
been
no,
like that. He's always
shocking at
been
the moment.
inconsistent. Yeah, he's always been inconsistent. He's always had horror shows in him. And to be honest with you, I think Hitate's dined out for years on one game against Rangers, or his first game against them, where he scored 2 goals and 1 crossfield pass against Real Madrid. And that's what he's dined out on. And he's always had enough quality around about him to sort of hide that. You know, he can drop out of games and someone else picks up the slack. But now he's really the only creative influence we have in there. So it's all on him. And he's just not doing it. He's not capable of it. And he's never been capable of carrying that level of responsibility. So he's another one that looks as if he would rather be anywhere else. And he's probably checked out. So it's hard to see what the answer is. It really is.
That's the difficulty. I know, Stephen, you mentioned previously about players becoming better when they're not in the team. But really, who are we looking that's going to save us from this? Bernardo's done. He's I don't know. He's not the most inspirational. I watched him during the summer there. McCann's a poor man's Ryan Christie. Who else have we got? You know, Shin should be playing it for Linfield or somewhere. He's brutal. You know, we don't have players, but there's nobody that we can rely on. It's like, let's get CCV back and then we'll be okay. Let's get such as Ian Acho back. There's nobody. The only one is Jota, and he's not going to be ready until maybe May, you know, at the level that we want him at. So,
yeah.
Not really.
But it's not. I mean, you could say they're unlucky with injuries, but who could have foreseen that Alistair Johnson and Cameron Carter-Vickers would both pick up knocks this year, given the fact that for the last 2 years they haven't had an off season. So AJ and CCV have played international tournaments in each of the past 2 closed seasons. So, and Alistair Johnson in particular, I know CCV doesn't really get a game for the USA, but he's over there, he's training, and he gets the occasional sub appearance. But Alistair Johnson is racking up the appearances for Canada, who are going deep into these tournaments, these international tournaments in America, and he hasn't had a break for almost 2 years now. So, surprise, surprise, he's now got hamstring issues. I mean, that's not rocket science. That was obvious that was going to happen, and a smart club with smart people running it would have covered themselves against that eventuality instead of having to rely on a teenage Kobe Donovan and a guy who's just not a football player at all in Anthony Ralston. So that's again this is another aspect where the club is failing. They're just not looking at this stuff and reacting accordingly.
Okay, well, I'm going to take some solace from some of the comments there talking about fixtures coming up and how we've got a decent run of fixtures and the Huns and Diet Huns don't. So, I'm trying to cling to some sort of flotation device here, so forgive me for doing that. All right, well, look, let's move it on then a wee bit, shall we? We're almost on the hour, so what do I see here on social media? Oh, check this out. This is a woman who repurposes football tops. She takes the old strip and turns it into like a body warmer kind of thing. So if you don't want to spend money on new gear, just repurpose your old stuff. That's pretty good. Brian, can I see you walking about County Down?
No, definitely not. But I wonder how much she's hawking it for. You know what I mean? That's probably.
Well, this is her website, Rose Ojo.
Rose High.
Very good. Well done, Brian. Muy bien. Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Felicitaciones. And look, she turns like bomber jackets and stuff here.
380 quid.
Puffer vests. And
And
I think you have to give her the top. Crossbody bag.
Yeah.
Even wee handbags for the missus if you want to. Look, you can get a shoulder bag for 45 quid. There's her Christmas present sorted out, Stephen. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got my eye on one of those crossbody bags, so I think I'd look just a ticket marching down Manly Corso in a Celtic crossbody bag. So
Do you wear a crossbody bag? Seriously, a bum bag? You wear a bum
I was
bag?
being facetious.
Well,
I'm
have.
not a bum bag man.
I have become a bum bag man myself, and that's when you know you're getting old and you don't care about looking cool. But I mean, it helps you carry all your shit around these days. You need so much stuff.
What
glasses.
do you need? What do you need?
Well, here I need reading glasses, sunglasses, phone,
Right,
keys.
in there. Yeah. Okay.
That's what your pockets are for, Gav.
That's what your pockets are for.
I know, but living in the tropics, you don't want your pockets all bulging full of stuff. You want streamlined shorts and a nice big bum bag.
Yeah. What you're talking about is a fanny pack.
Well, that's my wife doesn't want me calling it either of those things, a bum bag or a fanny pack, because it's too crude. Did you see this? Did you see this?
Oh, who's this?
Luis Suarez's celebration.
Luis Palma.
Oh, Luis Palma. Did I say Suarez?
Still shite though. Sorry.
But enjoying his game, you know, playing with a smile on his face. Thought that was quite nice. 50-year-old Jamie Curriton becomes the only player to have scored in all of England's top 10 tiers. We featured him before. Do you remember? A couple of years ago.
He played for Celtic at one stage, didn't he? He was on the books. He was at Reading, and I think that he might have been on the second string for a long time.
Well, look, this is his list of... I don't see Celtic on this list. Look at the size of that. I had to shrink the page to see all his clubs. It's just ridiculous career he had there. From 1993 to 2025. And this is the goal he scored. This is his first ever goal for Kings Park Rangers at non-league Step 6.
Oh, lovely.
Look at that.
Is he available?
Fault there, I'd say. Keep it at fault.
50-year-old. That's
Brilliant.
good going for 50, Brian, isn't it?
Unreal. Young man. Boys have a confession to make. I couldn't resist it.
What did you buy?
No, I didn't buy anything. Yeah.
It's not Celtic merch, is it?
It's not Celtic merch, but I bought something not from Adidas directly, but I bought a pair of trainers that were on offer, but they're Adidas, and that I realised after I'd purchased them that there's a ban. So sorry, I'm not a trainer, guys. It was more the Cronenberg had the answer. You know, was responsible for it. But
just show us your T-shirt there a second, Brian, would you? What T-shirt you wearing? Oh, Joy Division, very nice. Well, then this next one's for you. Here's another T-shirt you can get.
Damn it, I earned it. Brilliant. I remember my mum throwing out a Joy Division T-shirt I had, and I was raging. It's the cover of Closer, the final album, but it was like La Pieta. Is that what they call it, Gav? It's Jesus and Mary.
Yeah,
and
the Pieta. Yeah,
Pieta, and I think she thought that was being disrespectful. So I remember paying a tenner for it somewhere, and it never making it out of the wash. There we go. Boy Division, that's a good one, David.
Okay, and then one last little silly thing, just in an effort to cheer ourselves up here, because we've already been talking about how bleak the future is. So this is a nice wee look-alike party.
Got Jackie Chan.
It says look-alike.
Harry Potter.
And who's the wee guy?
Eminem, no?
Oh, it's got to be Mini-Me, hasn't it?
Oh, there's Spider-Man getting it on.
And who's in the background? Will Smith.
Will Smith. Jackie Chan, Will Smith. That's like your man out of Phoenix Nights getting Jackie Chan some paint. That's obviously, they're not lookalikes. That's AI.
Is it?
I think
it's probably AI. Everything's AI now.
Yeah, Eminem on a diner. Oh, flip me.
But the guy from Fast and Furious, yeah, maybe you're right. David. It's obviously not that much of a lookalike if we don't know who he is.
That's one thing I can safely say. I have never watched any Fast and Furious.
No, who would with a
I mean,
brain?
there's 9 of them or something,
Come
isn't
on.
there?
Pathetic. Anyone? And I'm sure there's no crossover. Nobody who watches that kind of tripe would also enjoy a Celtic World, Stephen. So I'm not expecting anyone in the comments to stand up for that franchise.
That would be a story for a Rangers podcast, wouldn't it? They would be all fasted. They would all be owners of the box set of all 9 movies. I would think that's their sort of level of intelligence.
And I trust David's being sarcastic. Can't imagine him sitting down to that. A man of his good sense and taste. All right, lads, that'll do us. We've gone a fair bit over the hour. Monday night is, Monday night our time. We've got the tactical review show coming up. Now, we went through the game a little bit there. Talked about lots of other stuff. But if you really want a deep dive on it, you know what to do. If we go out at 9:30 a.m., that means the tactical review now goes out at 11, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? No, 5:30 to 8 is 2.5 hours. So 9:30 plus 2.5 hours is 12. 12 midday. Is that right? I think they go out at 12 midday. Anyway, it's very hard to keep on top of this. All these time zones, everybody's different. It's a nightmare.
Checking my phone.
All right, we're about to say goodbye, and we will close with our Where's the Ambition video rather than our usual closing credits, just so you can enjoy that. And there'll be future iterations of it with other pictures are pouring in, Brian. You'll be excited to hear.
I can't get it right. I had to copy the logo and then I pasted it and it did a portrait instead of landscape, and I will do it. Trust me. But I want to get a good background picture. I was going to drive to Newry.
I've got a quick story. When I did it, I went down to the Opera House to take the picture, and I was there myself, and because I couldn't cajole any of my kids to come down and help me out, so I had to ask a stranger to take my picture. Right, so I just asked this a woman passing by, and wouldn't you know it, she was from Edinburgh.
Oh, brilliant!
So I then had to launch into a big explanation about what it was all about and everything. But she was a Hibs fan, so she wasn't a Hunt, so that was all right. But what's the chances? Total random stranger in the front of the Opera House, and it's a wee woman from Edinburgh.
All right. Well, cheers, Ali. Cheers, everyone in the chat. As always, a fruity exchange going on. Okay, we'll see you on Thursday. But if you, like I said, if you want to watch the tactical review, that's coming up in an hour and a half's time from when we went live or something like that. I don't know. Check local listings for details. Lads, see you soon.
Hail, hail.
See you, boys. Hail, hail.
instead of this settling for mediocre, imagine what we could be.